Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the...
Thank each and every one of you for taking the effort to come to the AI in Fashion and Design AIFaD 2022, which is organized by the French Institute in India, the Embassy of France in India, together with the Consulate General of France in Bangalore. So to inaugurate this very ambitious conference and the launch of this project of AI in Fashion and Design, I would like to request our Honorable Consul General of France in Bangalore, Mr. Xavier, to inaugurate it formally by speaking to you. Thank you.
Dear Your Highness, Dr. Pramoda Devi, Wadiyar, Maharani of Mysore, Dr. Ramana Reddy, IS from the Ministry of ITBT, State of Karnataka, Shri Pankaj Kumar Pandey, IS Secretary of Tourism Department, honorable French guest and Indian guest, and dear students and faculty members. The strategy of France in India is to develop and strengthen projects and collaborations in the science and higher education field I'm in charge of for the south of India. It is done according to three main pillars. The first pillar is to raise Indian students' awareness about how France can be a very valuable...
Your Highness, Dr. Pramoda Devi, Wadiyar, Maharani of Mysore, dear Dr. Ramana Reddy, IAS from the Ministry of ITBT, State of Karnataka, dear Shri Pankaj Kumar Pandey, IAS Secretary, Tourism Department, dear honorable French and Indian experts, dear faculty members from India and France, and dear students and friends. It's a great pleasure for me to be here today for the opening of these 2 days dedicated on AI in fashion and design. This is, ladies and gentlemen, the first big event that we managed to organize outside of the Consulate General since the pandemic. But you can trust me, there will be more to come in the coming weeks and months as the cultural festival Bonjour India will start in Bangalore on April 12th. This event of today and tomorrow has been prepared a long time ago and intends to launch an Indo-French holistic approach on the future of fashion, textile, garment industry, and how artificial intelligence could help to make it more sustainable. These last decades have seen both new products, new fabrics, progressive automation of the industry, which has led clothes to become fast-moving consumer goods, FMCG. Such trend can be seen as a short-term profit for the economy with an unfortunate big impact on our environment. Synthetic fibers directly coming from the oil and gas, microparticles coming from textiles during laundry processing and released into the water are a couple of examples of the unexpected cons coming from this change. The global climate change and its diverse negative impacts on our environment is more and more at the core of our preoccupations and concerns. It's a major challenge for all of us, for our children and the future generations. That's why I can assure you that climate change is among the top priorities of the ongoing France presidency of the European Union. This relatively recent awareness is leading us to develop an interdisciplinary approach so the problem can be treated as a whole. These 2 days will therefore be an opportunity for all of us to learn, to discuss and brainstorm on new solutions we could come from traditional knowledge, reuse of natural products, for instance, but also on how science in general and artificial intelligence more precisely can help providing solutions to reduce the impact of this economic sector. This is why we are here today. And I would like to thank all the speakers, experts, faculty members, and students for their involvement in this event. I do trust discussion will be fruitful and that the French and Indian students who have been involved in the hackathon for several weeks now and who have been locked for an intensive final last weekend at ITBT will propose us very interesting, innovative solution tomorrow. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Thierry. And I would request now Dr. François Xavier Mortreuil, who is the scientific attaché from the French Embassy in India and the French Institute in India, to say a few words as the formal inaugural ceremony.
If they want to go study abroad. The quality of the syllabus, of the curriculum, the mutual recognition of the degree between France and India, the interdisciplinary approach that we've got for some of the science part through the economics and social aspect of point of discussions, as well as the interactions which are already strongly existing with the corporate sectors and the research sectors, are some of the added value that they can collect and have from their experience in France. The second pillar on which we are working is to support the research collaboration between French and Indian scientists. We all know that research can't be done alone, locked in one place. It is very necessary to cross-view, to check and challenge our respective approach, and to see the methodology in order to improve the knowledge on what a big concern, which is a global one, only with different aspects that can be approached that way. It is something which is highly supported, for instance, through the Indian-French agency named CEFIPRA, based in Delhi, and which is every year supporting tens of research projects involving Indian and French researchers, postdocs, master degree, and PhD students. It is very important and a very useful tool that we are using and deploying to support this activity. And last but not least, the third pillar is both how to let people know what we are doing. And meaning by people, we both need to go for a public outreach, which is one part of what we are doing also today, to let people know what we are doing, how the money is spent, and why it is useful to focus on this topic. And secondly, to also bring together different actors from the innovation ecosystems, the corporate ecosystems, and the academia researcher. It is absolutely necessary at one moment that the scientific publication, the scientific communication is not done only through scientific committee and conferences, but also to the corporate, so they can have an idea of what's going on in the academia lab and what could be good for them. And on the other hand, it's absolutely necessary also that the corporates are keeping informed the faculty members, the researcher, of what is the trend, what are the projects they're working on, what are they trying to outsource and will be keen to work jointly with the academia lab. And to do so, we have relaunched last year a platform which is the IFIN, Indo-French Innovation Network, which is has taken place already in Bangalore, in Chennai, in Mumbai, and soon will be in the northern part of India, and again in other cities, where during these moments we are bringing people to try to collect information, to just share what they are in need for, and then to try to identify some synergy and connections. I'm therefore very, very happy we are at this event, the AI in Fashion and Design event, because we are all here covering the three aspects, the three pillars I was mentioning. Among us, we have some students who are here, who have worked with some French partners and in order for this hackathon during these last weeks. We've got some faculty members from France and from India, and you will be able to connect and to discuss, to see how you are approaching these problems of environment and sustainable impact on environment from the industrial sectors. And we have, of course, some researchers, some people coming from the corporate sectors, as well as some innovators among us. And all this will be shared and explained and taken. These people will take part of the discussion for these 2 days. But I really encourage you to take any opportunity during the coffee break, during the lunch break, to connect between you, of course, and to connect with our team who is there in order just to try to see and to get more information on how we can help you working together, how we can help you just finding some tools in order your collaboration to go at the next stage. So I would like to end just with a big thanks for the students and faculty members who's been involved all this time through the hackathon. It's a very big effort that you have been doing, something new for you probably. So I've been able to see you yesterday at ITBT, and it was very interesting, and I wish you all luck for tomorrow for the hackathon sessions. And I would like also to thank the organizers, among them my colleague Ambika, for the concept idea of this event, bringing so different kind of people together to have a full picture and a holistic approach of this sustainability and impact of the industry and how we can reduce that all together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, IFIX, and as IFIX said and connected very well, that we did have a hackathon over the weekend which involved students from the design schools, management and IT schools, which was strongly backed by the ITBT ministry of the Karnataka government. So I guess it's the right point for me to call upon Mr. Dr. E.V. Ramana Reddy to say a few words about ITBT and Karnataka government and what they are trying to do in the sector to help such initiatives and to bring in a lot more cooperation in this field.
Mr. Thierry Mortreuil, Consul General of France in Bangalore. Mr. Francis Xavier, Science Attaché, French Embassy in India. Her Highness Maharani Pramoda Devi, Wadiyar. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning everyone. France is the key global innovation alliance partner for the government of Karnataka. Through our collaborations on startups, through law, French tech, and on industries through Indo-French Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we have been engaging deeply with the Consul General's office and are proud of the long-standing relationship. I would like to thank you for inviting me today to speak on a very interesting topic, AI in fashion and design. When it comes to fashion and design, you all know France is at the forefront. From casual streetwear to high fashion, France has always been a pioneer in the field. Fashion design and production became prominent in France in 15th century. During the 17th century, fashion exploded into a rich industry for exports and local consumption. Today we see that the leading luxury brands are all from France. French fashion industry is projected to be worth $32 billion in 2022, and industry is expected to grow further at a stable annual 9% growth and expected to reach $42 billion by 2025. Digitization is affecting all sectors of the economy, so the areas in the fashion industry where AI and ML are applied are e-commerce platforms. AI is playing a game changer role in online shopping and economic e-commerce business. While browsing or searching the fashion items on the e-commerce sites, AI recommends the similar items as per your color preference, budget and other attributes. Many of these platforms are using visual searches to identify products using AI. Designing of products by using algorithms that analyze past designs and future fashion trends. Artificially intelligent digital assistants are being used to recommend clothes to customers based on their height, weight, shape and even size. Reducing operational costs through automation and logistics planning. For example, high street brands like H&M are improving the way they spot trends and plan logistics and reducing the number of discounted sales and masses of unsold stock by using AI technologies. AI and machine learning in retail are also providing an automated solution to monitor the customers' activities while shopping and visualize their sentiments to know what kind of products they prefer to buy and what they ignore. According to a report by Capgemini, artificial intelligence would help retailers save US $340 billion annually by enabling efficiency in several processes and operations. As we progress in future, we will see three big upcoming trends in the fashion industry. Number one, predicting fashion trends with machine learning. Number two, digital CJ models and influencers wearing the latest fashion trends. Number three, digital fashion in augmented world like metaverse. When it comes to fashion, India is no less. We have a diverse set of culture where colors, design and craftsmanship of textile is the most unique and innovative. According to a report by McKinsey, India's apparel market will be worth US $59.3 billion in 2022, making it the sixth largest in the world. Karnataka is a leading destination for textile and apparel sector in India and is also known as the garment capital of India. The state is a leading producer of silk in the country. The state share is 20% of nation's garment production. Bangalore is known for its startup ecosystem also, and it's no surprise that we have AI and ML startups catering to the fashion and retail space. Startups like Bizome is a mobile platform for retail commerce and serves the supply chain for consumer goods and FMCG. Another startup from Bangalore, Entropic Technologies, it's a AI tech to understand human emotions by facial expressions, eye gaze, voice tonality and brain waves. In fact, Big Things, a Bangalore-based AI fashion retail company, was selected by the luxury Italian brand Prada for its Fashion Tech Accelerator program. This startup is disrupting the fashion industry using AI for virtual people, digital clothing and immersive spaces for the metaverse. I am sure some of these startups may be here and they will talk about their experiences in the next 2 days. Currently, the fashion industry is going through a paradigm shift. We have seen digital fashion shows, but the biggest thing that is talked about in the fashion world right now is the Metaverse Fashion Week. And with this background, to have such an event in this country, the only place is Bangalore. Why I say that is Bangalore is the fourth largest technology cluster in the world. We are the IT capital, we are the startup capital. We have, if India has 99 unicorns, as on today, we have 40% of them in Bangalore. And we are number one in India Innovation Index as ranked by Government of India in the last 2 years. So Bangalore is the capital for ITBT, science and technology, startup, whatever you name, Bangalore is in the leading. So I feel this is the right place where we have chosen to have this event. I hope that today's interactions will shed light on the know-how of this new domain and not only improve our collective knowledge of the space, but also come up with the creative ways for the growth of the sector. Thank you and hope you will have 2 days of fruitful discussion and Bangalore is the right place for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy, for reassuring and reaffirming the fact. And I'm really glad that you brought up all the subjects of the hackathon also inside that, because I think that is pretty much what we try to do with the students and work out with them. And I think it will be something which is very exciting for all of you to watch, which is tomorrow, the 5th, on Tuesday at 2:45. There's a hackathon presentation finale, which actually sort of brings together all these concepts that Dr. Reddy has gladly shared with us. So we move on to the most exciting part of it, which is the keynote address, and it's actually by a duo which is very, very Indo-French and who has every right actually to do it. And so may I present before you the first speaker on the keynote duo, Ms. Isabelle Moulin. and she is from Silk Me Back. And I'm not going to do much of an intro for her because I don't want to do her job. So I guess Isabelle will give you an introduction of what she's going to do. And there you go.
So, dear Your Highness, Monsieur le Consul de France, Monsieur le Consul Général de France, dear honorable guests, I'm particularly honored and blessed to inaugurate with you today this promising and particularly relevant event here in Bangalore, an exciting program imagined by the French Embassy in India and the French Institute in India that I thank here especially for having invited me to forge in some way this key to will open these 2 days. So, I didn't introduce myself. I am Isabelle Moulin. I am a curator, editor, and museographer, founder and director of the Silk Me Back, an initiative created. An initiative created 11 years ago in Lyon, the European capital of silk, like you know. The Silk Me Back is an artistic, technical, and scientific approach that seeks to bring together heritage and contemporary expressions around the theme of silk and textile. I'm currently in Silky Mission in India for 3 weeks to represent the metropolis and the city of Lyon, but also the Intersoir and Unitex, the consortium of silk and textile industry in Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes, the Textera, Innovative Textiles Competitiveness Cluster, the Silky Lyon, a major annual European festival bringing together plays in the sector, as well as the Silky Cities Network. A lot of diplomatic bag in the cargo holds of the plane, as you have understood. So much silk. And will you tell me why I chose this silky to open these 2 days dedicated to artificial intelligence, fashion, and design? Because silk is not just this sumptuous, glamorous material with all kinds of unique qualities, luxurious because so complex to obtain. Silk is above all a vector, a pretext, a transversal them whose arborescence make it possible to address all kinds of domains, problems which I'm sure we will evocate during this hackathon. So, just to start off gently, I suggest you explore them through this silky prism. A scientific key. Born under the seal of secrecy, silk jealously maintains from its origin the mystery surrounding its manufacture, that's relationship so particular to the plant and animal that silk conveys. This notion of ritual, sometimes or even of sacrifice, presided over by the almost alchemical mystery of its manufacturing, has always conferred on it, beyond its preciousness, almost magical virtues. For where we are talking about alchemy in the direction of transformation of matter, the metamorphosis of a butterfly whose secretion generates a fiber with singular and inimitable virtues. Dissect, stewed, copied, but never equaled. Silk remains synonymous with quality. This is the growl of textile rice fibers, but also of innovation. Because in addition to the qualities of the original material, the know-how that transforms and ennobles, it multiplies its primary value to bring it today to unexpected and multiple applications that go well to beyond the clothing sector to which it was originally devoted. This textile industry, which is naturally destined to reinvent itself constantly according to the whims of fashion and time, on the basis of a traditional core business, that of silk, far from having remained frozen in a bygone past, has known, on the contrary, to evolve, to change, to the mutation demanded by the times that it goes through. It has deployed, ensured in its DNA map an old R&D culture like the world, old like the world. Silky industry matrix, sericulture in French, is now a crucial economic issue that will have to be completely reinvented to respond to the ecological and climatic change that are beginning today. For example, plant side, silk production is entirely dependent on mulberry cultivation. And will have to be transformed according to the cause of an increasingly technological agriculture, economical interface, water, energy, with little or not impact on our environment. But for this, we must find pragmatic and relevant answers to the need for the necessary space for mulberry cultivation, the need to bring production units closer to processing units for a lower carbon impact, the need to not to depend on the seasonal crop over a limited period of time. On the animal side, applications of transgenesis could make it possible to transform the sericigenous gland, which releases in 2 days a thread of 1 kilometer long and 20 microns in diameter, fibrin, into a real protein factory. And why not produce spider silk, even more resistant, or vaccines or hormones for medical use? This visionary research was initiated by the National Sericulture Unit of Lyon and the International Sericulture Commission, which established in headquarters there from 1979. Some promising programs have been shared with Indian teams, such as making European strains resistant, very sensitive to viruses, and therefore could not be bred in India. A silky open-air encyclopedia, the Indian continent, is the only country in this world that produces all varieties of silk. Thanks to this mastery in this production of so-called wild silks, such as Tassar silk, Eri, and Muga, India can offer a very attractive ecological alternative for those who are moved by the interrupted destiny of the Bombyx berry chrysalis. In the new distribution of cards that is emerging at the world level, it is obvious that India will undoubtedly have to play a major role. For this, it will not be a question of trying to produce silk in the same way, but simply inventing new processes adapted to climatic, ecological, economic, and energy once more. The International Sericulture Commission, created in France and having sat in Lyon since 1979, is since 2012 based in Bangalore. Second key, think global, think local. From this long thread of almost a kilometer deflected by a single cocoon, another thread unfolds thanks to which a tension is established between the mobile and the immobile. On the warp is woven the motif of a nascent cartography, that of the sedentary, a cartography where coexist parallel worlds that sometimes ignore each other. acting as a shuttle between these parallel worlds, nomads circulate ideas, tools, materials, know-how. Far exceeding in stature as a simple material, silk is not only a diplomatic vector, but also a strategic, economic, and spiritual vector that has been able to initiate the invention of a large medium, the famous Silk Road. The Silk Road, as you know, initiated a few centuries ago the first basis of our current global thinking, this globalization that allows us today to meet, to exchange our ideas, our ways of doing things, our know-how, in order to pull them, hybridize them, combine them together to imagine a future compound protein. But this Silk Road is nothing like a motorway or ride straight ahead. It's something that takes roads, improbable, unexpected paths. It's often forces of us to make small steps upside, to change point of view, to adapt, to bypass, to transform the difficulty we encounter into opportunities. It often leads us to crossroad, where it is a question of taking the right path, the right option. So, instead of going into big theories, I'll tell you a little anecdote. I'm a member of the Academy of Know-how of the Hermes Foundation. And 2 years ago, in 2019, we devoted a whole series of conferences to textiles. I remember the brilliant and chilling intervention of an economist, which warned precisely about this crossing of paths, where we are already. Either the textile industry shows the option of always more, fully robotic production units capable of producing hundreds of t-shirts per minute, for example, dozens of collections a week, as some brands still do today. This option would leave incidentally on the side of the road an entire population idle and left behind. For the economists, we could already imagine being at the dawn of a new revolt of Camus. You know, this first workers' insurrection of the very first industrial revolution that took place in Lyon. But for the moment, this revolt could take place at a global level, questioning the future of an entire part, and not the least, of the world population. In return, these economists pointed out that history was sometimes cynical and pragmatic, and that a war or an epidemic could provide an answer to this type of question. It was spring 2019, remember. And then she talked about another production option, a more sober, frugal, and virtuous option, concerned about climate, ecological issues, energy, economic, but also philosophical. An option that favors local resources, the preservation of know-how, the recyclable rather than the disposable, this famous slow fashion that I'm sure is at the heart of this reflection of these 2 days. Today, we are at a crossroad, and the pandemic is clearly inviting us to make choices. These 2 years of distance have prevented us from circulating, traveling, meeting each other. The successive lockdowns could have invited us to curl up, but I'm convinced that, on the contrary, this crisis can only invite us to think differently, to share our knowledge, to inform our intelligences, to nourish our creativity. For this, we must take and create all the opportunity for exchange. For this, we have all kinds of tools that just need to be reactivated as for example, this Silk Hill Summer School, which offered to host 20 Indian students in Lyon, and its region for a program of total immersion in the silky and textile sector. You are welcome. In this wake of dynamic, of exchange and networking, the Silky City network created by the Métropole de Lyon and the Inter-Soir Consortium 4 years ago networks 10 cities representing 8 countries from China to Brazil via Japan, Uzbekistan, Georgia, Italy, Spain, and France. I'm very pleased to announce today that following the reception of an Indian delegation last November in Lyon, at the Silky Lyon, and a large plenary meeting of the network, India will join the Silky City network with the city of Bangalore. It's official. Other Indian cities are, of course, invited to join us, but we have chosen to invite Bangalore in the first place to underline this original theoretical link that I mentioned earlier, but also to affirm a resolutely foresight that we share between India, Silicon Valley, and the second global competitiveness pole dedicated to innovative textile, Tectera, headquartered in Lyon. And this will make it possible to take the third keys of my Silky chain. Technology, of course. So, are we only on the beginnings of artificial intelligence? Where are we already completely there? I certainly will not have the presumption to answer this question. Others here, much more specialists than me in this field, will be able to answer this question. But it is interesting to remember that if we are gathering today around this question of artificial intelligence, this is because it is based on a process considered as a trigger of the first industrial revolution, the Jacquard business line, developed in Lyon to improve the technology of the technical industry. I take a little card, a little punch card like that, you see. With this famous punch card, initially created and perfected successively by Bouchon, Falcon, Vaucanson, and Jacquard, we are indeed dealing here with the second application of the Leipzig binary theory, the encoding of a complex textile design in perforatic punch card in 1, 0, 1, 0, which does have a central memory distinct from the executive bodies, etc. This famous 1, 0 could not have existed without this notion of zero, established by Indian mathematician. This notion, so distressing for Westerners, appeared with very late even thought it was so present in Indo philosophy, where emptiness and infinity are in the very essence of the cosmos. This Jacquard process, this program, is in a way intelligent compared to the mechanical system it controls, since it is enough to change sets of cards to produce other things without modifying the tool mechanically. Charles Babbage and Ada Lovelace will then resume the process to develop what is considered the first computer in 1834. Always will use it to create what became IBM. So, rest assured, I'm not going to give you a long and tedious history of digital. This is not the place and not the moment. But I thought it's important to pay tribute to this relation, to these precursors, to these makers before the hour, to this curious mind, ingenious thinkers who have brought us together today, and of which we are all descendants in some way. For example, Google was no mistaken in simply naming its program on connected textile Jacquard, of course. This recognition of this relation, it is crucial because it pays tribute tribute in the first place to a corporation that most often remains in the shadows, that of engineers, and I know that there are many among us today. Engineers. We translate engineer by engineer into English, but these two words do not have the same connotation, whereas in English engineer is perceived as a simple derivative of engine, machine, engine, and can take the practical meaning of mechanic, repair, troubleshooter. In French, an engineer makes us think of ingenious, conceptual, creative work. I think we are talking about science, economic, productivity, very high-tech. We are all creative above all else. But today, we are faced with a major problem. Everything has gone very fast, and we are in a fragile moment where we risk losing. We have already lost a lot. Data, skills, know-how that can be a valuable resource for tomorrow's world. Like a puzzle whose pieces were out of disappear, the technical data and associated skills fade away as the time goes on. Know-how and to know how, but how to try to find the secrets of doing. For some time now, we have been hearing a lot about the need to relocate the fundamentals, to re-industrialize. But for this all, the means must now be used to launch a quasi-archaeology of artisanal and industrial know-how. This capitalization of knowledge has become a fashionable application. The most valuable asset of companies is its intellectual capital. But today, researchers must give concrete answers to the demand of knowledge management, invent new tools to stop this data loss. It is a question of implementing new operating system to be able to safeguard this manual, mechanical, technical knowledge, complex because constantly expanding, for a museum of the third millennium that would invent a new form of knowledge bank of body and mind. But how can we do it when we find ourselves today with tools, silent processes, from which we lost all traces of technical data and whose use and purpose sometimes become a mystery? It is necessary to simply reverse the axis of time, stop the hourglass, and press the rewind key to try to understand, to reverse design in order to return to the origin, to the very essence of the process of conceptualization of this link, which risks becoming missing for the global understanding of this new great epic craft and industrial. For this, the living resource of the history of technique and those of mechanical engineering can combine to terrorize this process of reverse engineering, inventing a new common and transversal language between engineer, designer, historian, and creative. Beautiful loop and fair return, this is how contemporary high digital technology can put themselves at the service of the reconstruction of a forgotten memory in order to reactivate these beautiful dormants, sleeping beauty, of which they are the descendants, these tools whose instruction for use have been lost. It is here that we find the métis. You know, this famous ability to turn difficulties into opportunities. Ulysse, for example, or Churchill were true champions in these fields. This potential, which has the essential qualities necessary for a controlled navigation in what is now called the fluid world, generated by the digital revolution, and which is combined in a complementary way with the intelligence of the end and the conceptual. This success of this reverse engineering to depend of this complementary of approach in this dynamic of shuttles between yesterday and tomorrow, high heritage artisanal factory, industrial archaeology, and contemporary high technology combines with the future composed. Technical textile, but isn't textile always technical? Intelligent textile, innovative textile, augmented textile, everything is to be imagined. In France, children are told a tale in which a somewhat capricious princess, but she has good reason for being, as the king, her father, dresses almost impossible to make. Sun-colored dress, moon-colored dress, time-colored dress. Podan, this is the name of the princess, and her fairy godmother would be very today to imagine in adornment that would prove impossible to make. Perfume fabric bodies, luminous wedding dress, anti-stress pajamas, transtant swimsuit, memory dress of shapes or changing color according to mood, thermoregulating suite, invisible membrane underwear, anti-headache caps, moisturizing and or slimming combination, sleeping chiffon, night gown, anti-aggression waterproof. This wardrobe and the third millennium will certainly not displease the godmother of Podan and his princess. For the epilogue of the rest of her tale, she would fly today in a helicopter or plane, fitting and composed of textile fibers, and whose weight would have been reduced by 1 ton thanks to the composite materials. She might be looking to reach her good side on her cell phone or Skype through fiberglass circuit boards to check on the little one of an infant who has been treated for jaundice thanks to its bright blue sleeping suit in therapeutic tissue. And then, to change her mind, she will decide rather than simply land by parachute, a small jump, so much lighter and safe. Those who understood that glass and many other fibers could be woven like silk began their parachutes to then make all kinds of high-performance sail signs to which the whole world flies and glides. It would land gently in this park, entirely remodeled by geotextile, and whose flowering massif would have been accelerated thanks to solarization canvas, and will join his house whose architect could have afforded all the audacity thanks to the membranes, textiles, of course, coated composite. A little time, it would modulate the lighting of this room, lined with soft fiber optic walls with side lighting connected to light-emitting diodes. And after having swallowed a few capsules of spirulina, severed, cultivated, optimized under photobioreactor and a luminous canvas, she will drink a little silk milk produced by her genetically modified hogs before reaching a bed where she could sleep under seasonal antidepressant sheets and maybe a little bit aphrodisiac. Under this protection of a personal guard, no doubt equipped with flexible armor and artificial spider silk bulletproof vest, she could finally fall asleep in peace, dreaming of colored dresses, it's up to you to imagine it during these 2 days with all the forms of intelligence we have. Thank you. And silky yours.
Thank you so much, Isabelle, and it's great to see all those lovely pictures there and to sort of explain to the audience where technology stands now and how we can go forward. So we have something from the past right now, and may I invite for that Her Highness Dr. Pramoda Devi Wadiyar, Maharani of Mysore, to give us a brief history of the very, very ancient heritage of Mysore silk. So, over to you, ma'am.
Namaskara and good morning to all of you. Monsieur Thierry Berthelot, Consul General of France, Mr. Sri Ramana Reddy, other delegates and guests and invitees. It's my pleasure to participate in the Silk Conference organized by the French Consulate in Bangalore. I'm proud to be part of this event and to represent my family who established the silk weaving unit in Mysore. I'll be taking you back to the history of silks in Mysore. My talk is going to revolve around how it started and where it is now. And the story goes that the silk was discovered by the Chinese empress, and from there it went to Japan, to Italy, and to France. In 1540, as we've read, the King Francis I granted monopoly in developing silk production in the city of Lyon. By the beginning of 16th century, Lyon had become the capital of the European silk. Lyon was also a natural conduit for trade, as the city was located at the confluence of two rivers. Proximity to northern and southern France made Lyon the perfect place to start the Silk Route. The Silk Route passed through India, Persia, but it was brought to India through Samarkand and Bukhara, and it gained immense popularity among royalty and aristocracy. In South Asia, recent archaeological discoveries in Harappa and Mohenjo-daro suggest that during the time of Indus Valley civilization, sericulture of wild silk threads from native silkworm species existed between 2450 BC and 2000 BC. However, in India, one finds mention of silk and silk garments during the Vedic period as far back as 5000 BC. In the Mahabharata epic, there is a vivid description of Pitambara, a yellow silk garment worn by Lord Krishna. Brocade and zari textiles of Banaras was popular in the 19th century. With the migration of silk weavers from Gujarat in the 17th century, it is likely that the Banaras developed excellence in weaving brocade and zari fabric during 18th and 19th centuries. In 1800, the Mysore royal government established sericulture in Mogenahalli near Channapatna, which became the center of sericulture activities. The first villager was established in 1860 in Bangalore by an Italian industrialist. In 1896, Sri J.R.D. Tata established a silk farm in Bangalore with the help of Sri K. Sheshadri Iyer, then Diwan of Mysore. He got the technical expertise from a Japanese couple, Mr. and Mrs. Odziv. In 1911, a state-level conference was held under the chairmanship of Sir M. Visvesvaraya, and sericulture was included in the agenda as one of the main subject of discussion. In 1912, His Highness Nalvadi Krishnaraj Wadiyar, the Maharaja of Mysore, set up a silk manufacturing unit in Mysore. In 1913, the services of Senior Washington Merry from Italy was hired to organize and develop the silk industry in Mysore. He made available 12 varieties of pure European Chinese silkworm to conduct experiments in Mysore state, that's now Karnataka. Under his guidance, Sri Appadurai Madhuliya, a senior sericulture inspector, conducted experiments in Channapatna and successfully developed a hybrid between pure Mysore European and Chinese races, which were far superior to their parents. The first spun silk mill in India was established in Mysore. The looms and preparatory machines were imported from Switzerland and was the first of its kind in India. The silk fabrics were manufactured and supplied to meet the requirement of the Mysore royal family and ornamental fabrics to their armed forces. Raja Ravi Verma, one of the greatest artists from India, was commissioned by the Maharaja of Mysore, Sri Nalvadi Krishnaraj Wadiyar. He had gifted the artist a fabulous 9-yard Mysore silk fabric. It is believed that the very design of the piece of fabric was copied on the fabric draped around Lord Krishna's shoulders in one of the paintings, which he created a scene from Mahabharata. Perhaps the artist, through his artwork, implied that the fabric was worthy enough of adorning Lord Krishna's shoulders owing to its magnificence. This speaks for the quality of the silk produced in Mysore. Silk yarn was also used to make parachutes, ropes, and other war materials during Second World War. Mysore became India's silk capital at the time of independence. During 1920s, Mysore supplied 60 to 70% of silk produced in India. This is as per Mysore Gazetteer. The silk industry was mainly a cottage industry during the early 1900s. The worms were reared in the producers' houses. According to the Mysore Gazetteer, every year nearly 40,000 acres were under mulberry cultivation. Although sericulture was mainly a subsidiary craft, yet 2 lakh families depended on the prosperity of the industry. Nearly an eighth of the population of the state, wholly or in part, was supported by the silk industry of Mysore. Role of women in weaving silk threads was significant in silk weaving units. At Sindagatta, Krishnarajapet Taluk, there was a small silk thread weaving unit which made Udidara. I'm sure you know what Udidara means. I think nowadays I'm not sure how many people wear Udidara, but it was a thread worn around the waist and the waistbands for military uniforms, as well as silk twists, borders for dhotis and kamblis, and for ornamental work on the military uniform, and for namdas and horses, elephants, etc. The silk used for all this work was either spun by hand by women from the silk waste or Kora silk. After India attained independence, the Mysore silk weaving unit was handed over to State Sericulture Department, and many decades later, the silk weaving factory was handed over to Karnataka Silk Industries Corporation Limited, a government of Karnataka enterprise, and is popularly known as KSIC. The Mysore silk fabric produced at this unit stands out due to its extraordinary quality and texture. KSIC is the only organization in the country commanding the entire gamut of silk production, right from reeling of cocoons to the weaving of pure silk fabric of various shades and designs, all under one roof. Mysore is rich for its royal heritage and grandeur. Completion of 100 years of Mysore silk weaving unit is a befitting tribute to its founder, His Highness Krishnaraj Wadiyar IV. Carrying forward this legacy, in the year 2003, my husband H.S. Srikandatha Narasimharaj Wadiyar and I made an effort and succeeded in reviving the pure silk georgettes, which was almost going out of fashion. We engaged weavers to produce mainly georgette saris with our own designs and promoted and showcased under the brand Royal House of Mysore. Today, the silk has been intermingled with the life and culture of Indians. India has a rich traditional and culture-bound domestic market and has an amazing diversity of silk textiles and garments. In India, sericulture is a farm-based agro-industry practiced in about 53 villages that provides employment to about 6 million people. According to one statistical analysis made in 2019 by Rubia Bukhari, Himpreet Crown and Abdul Aziz, titled Women in the Sericulture Industry, published in the International Journal of Current Microbiology and Applied Sciences. Sericulture can generate employment for up to 11 people for every kilogram of raw silk produced, out of which more than 6 people are women. Historically, women have had a bigger role in sericulture than men, and even now, for more than 60% of the workforce are women. Recognizing this, the year 1994 was declared as the Year of Women in Sericulture. Today, we have women entrepreneurs who have set up their own successful brands and have relied on digital marketing through websites and social media. Several technological advances have helped in problem solving, increasing in production, and revenue earned from silk. Today, there are startups in Karnataka by the young entrepreneurs that not only help in designs but also help sericulture farmers improve the yield and quality of silk using artificial intelligence. Cloud platforms and sensors all boxed in a portable device. I gather that these technological interventions have helped 5,500 farmers across Karnataka increase their income by almost 30% and ensure steady profits from the market. Of late, silk traders are depending on digital tools. During the COVID crisis, to keep their business afloat, silk traders from Varanasi began using e-commerce websites, social media platforms such as Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram to market their products. Some of the larger players in the silk trade hire the services of online marketing experts to learn the tricks of the trade. The COVID situation compelled them to think that the digital marketing was the only way to survive. E-commerce sites such as Flipkart, Amazon, and other platforms have helped promote sales. But now prominent silk traders have made it part of the marketing strategy. India has the unique distinction of being the only country producing all 5 known commercial silks, namely mulberry, tropical tussar, oak tussar, eri, and muga. Silk industries in India have adopted digital design setting to produce flawless designs on fabric, thereby reducing manpower. Silk is extensively used in high fashion industries. Fashion is being identified more than just how someone dresses or the choice of material and design. Keeping in mind the technological advancement, this industry is also adapting to suitable tech aspects to generate maximum benefits. Artificial intelligence has become one of the key factors in fields like decision making, problem solving, trend setting, and e-commerce, fashion business houses. In my opinion, this is the way forward for the success and sustainability of the industry. Today, there are many silk producing units across India. I hope that scientists and researchers of sericultural interests share their knowledge and expertise through organizing conferences such as this and help evolve high-yielding hybrid varieties of silkworms, thereby making pure silk textile affordable and available to all sections of society. I also wish and hope that France, being the silk capital of Europe, and India being one of the major silk producing country, could collaborate and explore possibilities of taking the silk industry as well as fashion industry to the highest level of success and sustainability. I conclude by extending my best wishes for the successful completion of this conference and all the future endeavors. I would like to thank the French Consulate for inviting me for this event. Thank you and all the best.